Now, how an unsolved murder in the nation's capital turned into a conspiracy theory and then became a case study of how false news spreads. It underscores once again the problem of polarized politics and divided sources of information. John Yang reports.
To the extent of my ability, I am not going to stop trying to find the truth.
The story of Seth Rich's death is a story of how fake news spreads from websites and online forums like Reddit to primetime cable TV.
Another massive breaking news story. Explosive developments in the mysterious murder of former DNC staffer Seth Rich.
Early one morning last July, 27-year-old Rich was found fatally shot near his Washington, D.C. home. Politics had drawn the Omaha native to the city, and he was working at the Democratic National Committee when he died. The case is still unsolved. D.C. police theorize it was a botched robbery, the latest in a string of attacks in the neighborhood. As Rich's family and friends mourned, he became the subject of a baseless conspiracy theory. The claim was that he was the source of the DNC emails about the Hillary Clinton campaign that WikiLeaks released later that month.
A private investigator says there is evidence to show Rich was communicating with WikiLeaks.
Last week, Fox's Washington station broadcast an interview with Fox News legal commentator Rod Wheeler.
You have sources at the FBI saying that there is information that could link Seth Rich to WikiLeaks?
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's confirmed.
2 days later, Wheeler backtracked, saying his statements were a miscommunication. But not before Trump ally Sean Hannity devoted a portion of his Fox show to the story, giving Wheeler a much bigger platform for his unsubstantiated claims.
With the totality of everything else that I found in this case, it's very consistent for a person with my experience to begin to think, well, perhaps there were some email communications between Seth and WikiLeaks.
For some conservative commentators, retractions and fact checks have appeared to make little difference. Supporters of President Trump are trying to use the story to discredit the investigation into Russian meddling in the election and possible collusion with the Trump campaign. Newt Gingrich on Fox and Friends this past Sunday.
We have this very strange story now of this young man who worked for the Democratic National Committee who apparently was assassinated at 4 in the morning, having given WikiLeaks something like 53,000 emails and 17,000 attachments. Nobody's investigating that.
There is no evidence for those claims. Yesterday, the Fox News website retracted a story it had published on Rich's death, saying it was not initially subjected to the high degree of editorial scrutiny we require and has since been removed. On his radio show yesterday, Hannity initially doubled down.
I am not Fox.com or FoxNews.com. I retracted nothing.
Alexios Manzarli says at the Poynter Institute, a journalism school.
Basic journalistic principles weren't met, right? The story was run without the source being properly vetted and without the D.C. police or the Rich family being consulted.
Today, Rich's parents wrote in the Washington Post, "The amount of pain and anguish this has caused us is unbearable. With every conspiratorial flare-up, we are forced to relive Seth's murder, and a small piece of us dies as more of Seth's memory is torn away from us."
We have two grieving parents who would like to find out the truth about their murdered son, and what they're getting instead is an avalanche of conspiracy theories and politically motivated spin.
On his Fox show last night, Hannity said he'd had heartfelt talks with the Rich family.
Out of respect for the family's wishes for now, I am not discussing this matter at this time.
But then he spoke to his fans.
Please do not interpret what I'm saying tonight to mean anything. Don't read into this. I promise you I am not going to stop doing my job.
Analysts say it underscores the fragmented media world we live in.
The lesson here is that it's easy to find online and in this enormous wealth of information that there is around us, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of conspiracies, all kinds of hoaxes. If you are predisposed to think that something sketchy happened with the DNC and the leaks, then you are more likely to believe stories that aren't necessarily true, and as this one been roundly debunked.
But still a story that shows no signs of going away, at least in some circles. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm John Yang.